we're going to take a look at how to back up, archive, save content essentially on your courses. It's a little bit different from Blackboard because in Blackboard there is a separate archive function and there is a backup function. Moodle, especially in version 2, it brings the two together. Alright, now that being said, I am logged in right now as a faculty member. I'm not logged in as the administrator, so you can actually see the real backup process. I'm going to use this course to start with, which is a test course that I use to work on the gradebook. Now, a lot of this has to do with the instructors. It's good practice. How often should a course be backed up? As far as I'm concerned, anytime you do any major additions to the course, any major changes to the course, you should do a backup of some sort, whether it's an incremental backup or you do a full archive. Now, again, archive does not exist in Moodle per se, but the backup tool does give you the ability to pretty much back up everything, and that's what an archive really is. It's like a snapshot of the entire course. All right, so in the course here, we've got the backup link, we've got the restore link. 99% of the time, you're not going to use this, okay? You could back up large pieces of the course to be restored in another course. But for the most part, an instructor is going to use the import tool to copy stuff, to pull stuff from a previous course into a new course. Okay, so backup really should be left for what it really is, backing things up, and then offloading them off of Moodle. That's the important thing. All right, so if I click on backup, which is what we're going to focus on today, it's going to bring me to a very similar window to what you see in import. All right, now, if I wanted to do an archive, so let's go in that direction first. I wanted to take a snapshot of the entire course. What I would do is, along with the default check marks here, I would include the course logs, the grading history, pretty much everything. I would leave these two here unchecked. The reason why, for example, if I click this, what it's going to do is going to select certain things that are going to be checked and whatnot. This allows me to do some more manual pick and choose. Anonymizing user information, what it does is that when you do a backup, it takes the users and it gives them anonymous names, okay? So that if you restored the course into a new course, let's say for training purposes or something like that, their goal, from what I understand and all the reading I've done in this, their goal is to try to keep the course with the user information as intact as possible, and to keep the structure and everybody's user information, but to anonymize it for security reasons. So 99% of the time, not really important to us. So we're going to pick all of what we see here minus these two boxes. This is to archive everything in the course. All right. The next page is going to bring up is all of the content on the left. All right. And on the right, all the user data. Okay. Once again, we're taking a snapshot of everything like Blackboard does. I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to hit next. And it's going to verify everything that I selected with the green check mark. And as we saw in the first page, these two boxes were not checked. No problem. Now I'm going to perform the backup. And usually this amount of time that it takes to backup is based on the amount of content in the course. This is not a very heavily laden course, therefore it's not going to take very long to back up. It might take 20-30 seconds to do. But a course that's got a lot of video or something like that in there, you may have to walk away and have a cup of coffee, okay, and then come back to it. But I've not seen, what's good is that I've not seen a lot of crashing on these backups. Now, that's something important to keep in mind if you're doing a backup of a large course and you've got a computer that you're concerned about losing your internet connection, or the course going on, your computer going to sleep or something like that. That may interrupt. So you got to kind of be cautious of that. My recommendation would be for any faculty member who has their own PC is shut off your screensaver, shut off your sleep capability, while you're doing these large backups. Small backups, as you can see right here, this only took about 30 seconds or so. Not a problem. All right, so it's saying that it was successful, and I'm just going to hit continue. And when I do that, what it does is it creates an MBZ file similar to a zip file. This is a Moodle backup file, and as you can see here, it puts the date in here, 2012 0424, and this particular one is only 41.5 megs. Now, I can download this. This is what I'm going to do as the instructor. As soon as I get this, this is my archive, this is my snapshot of my course, download the puppy. Just take this thing and hit download, save the file, put it wherever you're going to save it, if it's on a backup drive or your hard drive or whatever. And then, of course, I'll say to every faculty member, okay, back it up onto your PC, but then back it up again onto an external hard drive or a cloud drive like a SkyDrive or something like that. Wherever you're going to put it, have 2 backups of it. All right. If the entire course gets destroyed somehow, Moodle goes down and there's a problem, even though the system is being backed up all the time, or let's say this particular course for whatever reason gets deleted from the system, what the instructor would do is they would say, hey, I need to get that course restored. They would send us that archive. So the instructor sends us this MBZ file, and we'll take care of the process of restoring the course, because it's a little bit delicate. Okay, so I've got now a backup sitting here, and I'm just going to check to make sure it 41.4 megs, it looks good, so we're in good shape there. Okay, now if I hit restore, in this case here, what it's saying is restore stuff that may have been lost or erased at some point back into the course. Okay, so it's like a self-restore. Okay, 99% of the time, you're not going to worry yourself about that, so don't be concerned about that. So I'm going to click back over to backup just to remember the navigation here. When I come here, I start my navigation process for the backup. To find the backup that I just did, I have to go to the restore area. Okay, so that's where the backup sits. So after I finish the backup, it kind of slips over to the restore area. Now, if I were in a course that I wanted to do some incremental backup, all right, so maybe I just wanted to grab certain pieces of content, let's do that. So I'm going to go over to backup again, and I'm going to start picking and choosing here, or I can leave this as it is and then go to the next page and decide what I want to pull off. All right, that kind of makes it a little bit easier.
A little bit more detail on the next page.
Yeah, and what it does is it gives you everything. Now, an important thing is that when you're backing up something, even when you're using the import process from another course, which is very similar to what you see here, if I'm going to pick, for example, in this first block, the general block, the quiz 1, 2, and 3, I have to make sure that I check this box. Okay, I have to check that. Now, if I don't want any of this other stuff, I just uncheck. Now, on this particular browser, I do have an add-on added to this Firefox browser, which allows me to do a Control-A to select all, and then right-click, and I can hit uncheck, and it unchecks everything. Now, this plugin or add-on is, and there's tutorials for this on the faculty site. So any faculty member who has Safari, Internet Explorer, or Firefox can download this little add-on. It's very simple to do, and it allows for mass checking and unchecking, because I can tell you right now, if you have a huge course, I would not want to be sitting here checking and unchecking, on top of the fact that there are a number of weeks that have no content. So if I had to do this manually, where everything was checked, I would just go insane. So having that little add-on is a nice help.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so if I click this, and let's say I just want to take that quiz 1, 2, and 3, or let's say I want to take the grade book, and maybe I want to take this, what the heck. I got to make sure I have that upper one checked. And do I need the user data? It's, you know, again, this is a small piece of something that I want to back up. Okay, so maybe in this case I don't really need the user data, so I'm just going to uncheck that, what the heck, all the way. All right, now that's all I've selected, so therefore everything else is grayed out. It's not going to be pulled in. I'm going to hit next, and you're just going to check to make sure that everything that you requested has been selected, and it is. Okay, now this is a smaller backup, so this should go pretty quickly. And what it's going to do, it's going to put that backup underneath the next file. What I could do is to take that backup. As you can see, that was much quicker. If I click continue, it's going to bring me over to the restore area. Okay, now this is only 246K. I'm going to download this file. Okay, and I'm going to save that to the desktop. Okay, and it gave it a slightly different. It included the time 11:42. So there's the differential in the backups. It's the same file name with the exception of the time, which is nice. All right, so this is the gradebook course. I could, if I wanted to, go over to one of my other courses, and I could use the restore function here and choose that file that I just backed up to grab that 1142 file, hit upload, and then restore. And what it's going to do is it's going to show me what it's going to pick. Obviously it's not picking the user information. I'm going to click continue. All right. Now I get options now. So I can merge, and the default is merge it into this course. Okay. If I already had something in here that had the same information, I could delete it and overwrite it with this. Okay. Now I can restore it into another course that's on my list. All right, so it's kind of giving me some nice options here, but I'm only picking this one here. I just want to drop this into this current course. Okay, I'm just not going to touch any of that. I'm going to hit next. Okay, hit next again. As you can see, there's a million boxes you got to check. 90% of the time, you're just going to kind of coast right through them. And then what it's supposed to do, if it works well, and 99% of the time it works well, it's going to restore information. So you might ask, well, what's the difference between import and from course to another, and what we're doing here is backup and restore? Well, import doesn't make a backup of a file. So those three little pieces of content that I backed up, it created a backup file which I downloaded to my PC. If I just use import, it's just taking content and copying it. So that's the real difference. Okay. And not only that, I find restore to be a little bit slow. I'd much rather use restore, because how many steps in this process did we just undertake? A dozen?
And then you have a file where you could do it in another course if you want.
That is right. That is right. Okay.
You have to repeat the steps.
That's right. I'm going to have to repeat those steps. Okay, so quiz 1, 2, and 3 was added on right here. Okay, so all of that stuff was added to which is the general area in every course, is that first block.
Oh, okay, so it puts it there.
Puts it there, because that's where I picked it from.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's how. Is it the same as import? Yes. Again, the difference being is that you're using a backup file as opposed to just direct pulling. All right. Now, the difference between, just so we understand, the difference between a backup and an archive. A backup in Moodle terms means that it's almost like they're implying that you're going to select certain, like what we just did. That's kind of a backup. It's really a blended thing in Moodle. So archive and backup, if you're thinking in terms of the entire course, snapshot of the course, it's one and the same, as long as you don't you include everything. So by my not including everything, it's really just a backup, and then I can pick what I want. So if I go to the next page and I unselect certain things and I pick and choose what I want, that's a backup. Okay. If I wanted to do what's, in technical terms, was a backup / archive, I would select everything. Okay, minus those two boxes that I had mentioned before. And that's pretty much how it works. It's what's nice is that it's a simple process for faculty. You can either select everything and do an archive, or you can pick and choose. And now that might be a good thing to do. Like we were saying before, if I wanted to select all my quizzes and I wanted to back those up and then restore them to duplicate courses, so maybe I'm teaching section A, section B, and section C of the same course, I could do that. So instead of using import, I could use the import tool. I could use the restore process and just grab the file, drop it in. Yes, I have to hit next before and restore a few times, but it's taken as one file and it's putting the same thing in each.
Creating all that content 2-3 times.
Absolutely. And that's pretty much the whole process. There's really nothing else. If it comes to the point where a course gets blown out for whatever reason, technical problems, then we would ask the instructor, even though we have backups and we would trust our backups, it would be great if the instructor would take the backup, save it to two different locations, hard drive and an external drive, and then send us a copy of that, or put it on the network drives. We would grab it and then do the restore for them. Okay, and that's it.